this is GILA. So, firstly, Tommy Robinson's court appearance, which was scheduled for tomorrow, May the 15th, has been moved to May the 20th. This is where he outrageously has to defend himself against police who arrested him for detaining an apparent paedophile who assaulted his 8-year-old daughter. Any other British citizen would surely have been commended for his actions and his restraint in dealing with the alleged criminal he detained. But then Tommy Robinson is no stranger to wrongful prosecutions and even unfair and clearly politically motivated guilty verdicts. Frankly, I was disgusted when he was sent to prison both last year and the year before simply for asking convicted paedophiles outside the courtroom how they felt about their sentences. Arrested and sent to jail, it appears, because he's perceived as a threat by the establishment because of who he is seen to be rather than what he truly has done. When the reality is that he has been deeply maligned and libelled by much of the mainstream media as well as various politicians in positions of influence. Tommy Robinson is not any kind of racist or hateful bigot. Certainly there's no way personally that I would support him if he were. But he's actually a brave man telling a deeply inconvenient truth about what mainstream Islamic ideology really teaches how to treat non-Muslims. And sadly, that's essentially abusively. Hence, the appalling abuse and persistent rape of so many thousands of children, some as young as 11 or 12, by gangs of mostly Muslim men. And we're still waiting for the release of the report about the grooming gangs, which, as concerned British citizens, we should have every right to read in full. Britain is not the only previously civilized Western country where justice, however imperfectly, was once regarded as the great equalizer, where everyone, if they could afford it, had access to impartial and fair treatment under the law. But that no longer appears to be the case. Ever since Donald Trump became the Republican nominee for president, and even after he won the election, and even after he was installed, there have been outrageous attempts to try to overturn the democratic decision of the American people to elect him, with real collusion by much of the mainstream media there to blacken him in any way they can. This book, The Plot Against the President, by Lee Smith, gives a blow-by-blow account of the insurance policy by various high-up officials in the Obama administration to oust President Trump totally illegally, which was published last year just before the disgusting attempts by particularly crooked Democrat politicians, in particular Adam Schiff, to misuse the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives actually to try to impeach the lawfully elected US president on no real grounds at all. Going back to 2017, there was one man in particular, General Michael Flynn, who knew rather too much about the real goings-on in the Obama administration, and therefore he had to be removed before he could become effective under President Trump, who had appointed him to a position of influence. This was done by an apparent perjury trap by high-up members of the FBI, and this deeply patriotic American general was removed and imprisoned. Finally, after years of fighting to clear his name, and the loss of his house and assets in doing so, this man has finally had his conviction thrown out by the American Department of Justice, although the clearly partisan judge in charge of the case is still dithering as much as possible, it seems, to try to prevent this from happening. Not only that, but clear evidence is finally surfacing that the deep state illegal plot to try to overturn the result of the lawful democratic process in the USA, which involved not only the fake dossier falsely alleging Russian collusion by Donald Trump, and which the liberal-leaning media has largely regurgitated verbatim for the past 3 years or so, but illegally tapping phone calls of the then incoming President Trump and his team apparently went right to the very top, not only to then Vice President Joe Biden, but to President Obama himself. Frankly, I could never understand how anyone could seriously believe in this post-Soviet era how Donald Trump could possibly be a supposed tool of the Russians, or even more, how this absurd supposed collusion could in any way affect the votes of Americans. Russians, unless they're American citizens, have no right to vote in the USA. But then, politically motivated hysteria, just as in the McCarthy era, knows no rational bounds. But where is the outcry among most of the mainstream media, who it appears still seem to worship the very ground that the clearly deeply corrupt ex-President Obama walked on? We're still waiting for the outcome of the criminal investigation by John Durham under the auspices of US Attorney General William Barr, who appears at long last to be someone in such an important position of judicial oversight for whom integrity and concern for real justice are actual and overriding concerns. This obamagate is far more appalling and disturbing than Watergate nearly 50 years ago now ever was, and much still remains to be revealed openly. And the question is also whether the real criminals involved, all the way to the very top in America, will finally receive justice, including prison time, which they surely deserve for their crimes. And in addition, certainly when it comes to any kind of politics or social agenda, whether the out-of-control, fake news mainstream media will ever return to any semblance of objectivity and impartiality. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Take care. Stay safe. Goodbye.